Welcome to Fresh Off the Set. I'm Kari Hawker-Diaz.
And I'm David Osmond.
And I'm Elora Murray. Thank you so much for joining us today. I love these podcasts when we just sit here and chat with each other.
Okay, this is so much fun. We were saying, David, what were you just saying? You're the middle of the Oreo here.
Yeah, I'm the lard of this sandwich. No, this is fun hanging out with you guys. Usually we get a chance to sit on the couch and have really quick conversation with our guests and very interesting stuff happening. But this is that longer form where we get to kind of get to know each other even better and share stories and what we're all kind of up to these days. It's a good way to catch up, and hopefully this is interesting to you guys listening.
That's right, and we share our opinions on things. Okay, I'm going to start with, are you ready for this?
I don't know if that's how you're going to start it. Am I ready?
90s fashion is coming back. It's back.
Can't believe it.
How do we feel?
Parachute pants? Parachute pants? MC Hammer?
Did you hear my long sigh? I could honestly write a dissertation on this because I don't like it. Like,
Really?
I just feel like the 90s were not super, I just didn't love the trends. Like, I love my skinny jeans. You will have to, I will hold on to them for dear life, and you will have to pull them out of my hand.
Just start pegging your pants and you'll be fine. Totally.
I feel like that's a different
They'll make
decade,
them skinny
David.
again.
You can totally do that. Absolutely.
My kids are pegging their pants. I'm not even kidding. Like they seriously are putting them up and like rolling them. And they had an 80s dance the other day, and they were doing the whole crimping the hair. But I mean, this was right after that look. It's all cyclical. Everything's that's old is new again.
It comes
crazy.
back.
And it's like the butterfly clips are back in, the tattoo chokers are back in.
Baggy pants.
Baggy
You're
pants.
seeing baggy pants.
Our producer is over the moon about denim skirts coming back in.
She's shaking her head.
She's
What do you
excited.
call them? A maxi skirt? I don't even know this
The
stuff.
maxi
I'm going to
skirt.
listen to you guys talk about it.
It's the long skirt. The maxi skirt is coming back, and Mackenzie, our producer, was saying she is not a fan of the denim long skirt, because I don't know who should be, to be honest. I don't love it either.
I wore a long denim skirt for my 8th grade cheerleading picture. And I wore like a tight button up. It had like pearl buttons from Abercrombie. And it was a look.
And would you break it out again?
Oh, heavens.
She
no.
burned that long time ago.
I am very, with my fashion, I love a good trend. I do. Sometimes they're fun. But trends are trends for a reason, and they usually don't stick around.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the 90s trend flew out because it wasn't the best.
Yeah. Do you guys-
What about the guys' fashion? What did guys wear in the 90s?
So
I
do you
should know this,
remember
obviously, but was
Gerbeau. Do you remember Gerbeau, the
Yeah,
pants?
Gerbeaus.
I don't know if those have come back because I haven't seen those, but it was like the jeans that had the little tag.
Oh, yeah.
The tag on the
yeah.
front area where the zipper was, and you were like a little bit rebellious if you had Gerbeaus because it was kind of naughty.
I don't remember this at all.
Gerbeau.
Gerbeaus was the thing.
Yeah.
Well,
For
and,
sure.
and honestly, too, because I feel like I grew up in the 90s, being a millennial. I grew up in the 90s, but I didn't really start, loving clothes and paying attention to them till the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the era of wearing, a lacy cami under everything, so the lace stuck out under your T-shirt.
I absolutely remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
And then, wearing double polos and then popping the collar.
Uh-huh.
Do you
Okay, yeah, I remember that look.
I was like, I'm hoping that the early 2000s are not going to see a resurgence
This
after
wasn't
the 90s.
Abercrombie and Fitch and all that kind of stuff. That was into the 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was in the 90s, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
I feel like it was late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, Abercrombie. And the coats with the fur around the hood and the
Tommy Hilfiger was huge coming out then. And
Yeah.
What else was a big fashion trend of the 90s?
Of Y2K, really tiny sunglasses, I felt like. You know what I'm saying? The frames were smaller. Give me
late 90s.
Yeah, give me a good Audrey Hepburn, Breakfast at Tiffany's, huge sunglasses.
I'm with you.
Elton John, huh?
Oh, always. Elton is my style
her bestie.
icon.
Okay, now she's like, I hate the 90s, but the 70s were awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You know what, for
Give me
something
some
to come back.
bell-bottoms, denim bell-bottoms there instead of the
70s.
maxi.
Sequins and rhinestones.
And big hair.
And I'm all for that. The 90s, I just don't. And there's a trend going on right now, too, and I tried doing it the other day, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I thought to myself, are you 90 years old? It's people are taking their bangs, and they're pulling it forward, and then they're just braiding their bangs.
Oh, like the little pieces in the front?
Yeah, so there's 2 braids just hanging in front that have been braided.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and I tried it, and I
We should try that with you, David.
Yeah, I'll get to work on that right away. Start growing my hair out.
I
See in about
just-
3 years.
But the thing is, some people, I see them because I follow, just the nature of the show. I follow fashion a lot, things like that. I follow some influencers, and I look at them, and I'm like, man, you look super cute, but it is just not for me. Mm-hmm. It's just not. Elora's out.
You know, there's some things that I might bring back from the 90s. Not many things, though.
Does Utah keep up on the trends? Like, are we kind of in middle ground? You know, you got LA and New York, like where things are fashion forward and things are moving as trendsetters.
I think, honestly.
Where do we fall in? How far behind or how forward are we?
I think Utah's right up there because so many content creators in fashion live here in Utah. So I think, it's not like we have our own fashion week or anything like, New York or LA, but I feel like because we have so many, like I said, influencers, content creators, TikTokers here, I feel like, and we have so many fashion companies here too, that we are like pretty on the pulse. The girl who does my hair is the cutest human ever, and she is Gen Z, and she dresses so cute from the 90s, but I'm like, that, I could never do it.
I don't
Could
think
never
I'd
do
be.
it.
Yeah, I don't think I could pull it off either, Becca. I may actually still have a few things in my closet. We should see what we have. Like, did
That
you
would be
keep any
funny.
of it? Did you keep anything?
No.
I got a bunch of random stuff. I know that. Just
David
all the old
too.
boy band days and everything.
Yeah.
David's
I for sure
beaming.
got some.
And it's funny, my friend had...
That's in a museum somewhere.
My friend has knows someone who lives in Paris, and she was talking to them in Paris, and she asked them, she's like, is Y2K fashion back in Paris, the Gen Z fashion? And she just looked at her horrified, and she was like, no. Like, so in Paris, that is not a thing. It's not happening, and it was, like, offensive to her that
And
she even asked.
they kind of know what they're doing. So
and when
yeah.
it comes to fashion, I would say, Paris is tops.
Paris is tops.
Does Utah have a thing that is just specific? Like, is there a look, like when you see someone you know that they are from Utah? You're down at Disneyland all the time. You're like, that guy's from Utah. I know. And it's not because of the U of U hat or the BYU hat.
Right.
But, like, there's a look, right?
I feel like it's the Stanley Cup. It's the Utah moms, and I am one, and so I'm not knocking on them, but we have our Stanley Cups. We've got, there's a certain look and certain things that we like, in Utah here. So I think for sure sometimes you'd be able to tell.
I would say. And then there was a period of time on TikTok where people were talking about why women in Utah don't curl the ends of their hair. So they were curling it and leaving
the beach waves and the end was straight. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's here.
Yeah,
for
well,
sure.
I got to make sure I don't do that with my hair.
With your perm.
With my permed hair.
Val-
is the perm an old thing?
Hey,
Is that
Val
what's
did a
come back?
great job, by
She
the
did,
way.
yeah, I look
We
like
love you, Val. You did great.
We
Cross
love.
between Kramer and Albert Brooks.
You don't give yourself enough credit, David. Well,
You know.
speaking
Yeah.
of Gen Z, there has been some slang that has come out, Gen Z slang that millennials don't understand. And then, Kari, you have the years, right? of
Yeah.
who is a millennial? What are
Okay.
the years?
So where do you fall in what category?
Okay, so David, you and I are Gen X. So that's 1965 to 1980. If you were born anywhere from 65 to 1980, you're a Gen X. Millennial is 1981 to 1996.
Okay,
So you might fall in that
yeah,
category.
I'm a millennial.
That's Elora. And then Gen Z is anytime after 1996.
Okay.
Gen Z.
Wasn't there like a subcategory somewhere in between? They were calling it something else. The millennials, the X.
I feel like there might be. That
Generation
sounds
Y.
familiar. Yeah, there's yeah.
I feel like Gen Y came before. I have no idea. I tried to act really smart.
But there are differences in the language. That's what
Yeah.
we're talking about. There's words and lingo and slang.
Yeah,
that
I'm gonna look it up,
just
see if
don't
there's something
quite
else.
cross those barriers.
So
So what do you got?
So
Gen
some
Y
of these
is
things.
actually
Oh, here's
just
Mackenzie.
another name for millennials.
Oh,
Gen
so-
Y.
Gen Y. So that's what it is.
Okay, you're right, David. So Gen Y, another name for millennial. Gen Y. Okay.
So my nieces and nephews are all Gen Zers. And sometimes they say things to me, and I will look them straight in the eye and be like, explain what you just said to me. And I jokingly told my brother-in-law has come up, he starts using some of these words because our nieces and nephews do.
Okay.
And I'll look at him and I'll be like, talk to me like a millennial. So here's the first word, bet.
Bent?
Bet.
Oh, bet.
B-E-T.
You bet.
Oh,
I mean,
Okay.
that's how we would say it, but that's not how they
Bet.
use it.
Bet.
Is it like okay, like
And you
thumbs
just
up?
use the one word.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, it's a way of saying it's
Bet.
so
Is it
it's
like
a way
that, like thumbs up, like
yeah,
okay.
it's a way of saying yes, okay, or it's on.
All right.
So
Did I kind of get that? I'm feeling younger by the minute now.
Wow.
Okay, let's
I'm
move on
thinking
to
guys
it.
and dolls. Like to be a lady tonight.
Dun, dun, dun.
So the next word is stan. S-T-A-N. Stan.
Stan.
Not
and
the
not
name.
capital S, not like the guy. Stan.
No. But I'm sure
Stanley Kubrick.
Stan, you're important. But I'm talking about
Oh yeah, I did hear this.
I have no clue what this is.
It's on the tip of my
Stan.
tongue. I have heard it, and I'm trying to put
Can
it
you
into
use it in a
context.
sentence,
Yes.
Elora?
This is like the spelling bee.
yes. I stan skinny jeans staying around forever.
Oh, like you're taking a stance. You're saying like I.
Well, it's synonymous with supporting something. So I support
Okay.
this.
You take a stance. Take a stand.
Stand. I stand.
This one,
is-
okay, this next one is really easy. Sus.
Yeah, my kids use that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like
Suspect.
suspect
It's highly
of it.
sus.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
suspicious.
Yeah.
And this one, I hope I'm saying this right. Simp. S-I-M-P.
Simp.
Simp.
Yep.
It's a,
Simple.
I mean, you'd think.
Think.
It's a term for someone who admires another person. It's usually used in a derogatory way to imply someone is paying weird amounts of attention to another person.
So you're sympathetic. If you're a follower, you're a fan, you're a simp of someone. Is that what you're saying? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Simp.
So it's like
simp.
if you have a crush on someone and then you're like doing all this extra stuff for them to get their attention, like taking them out to really nice dinners and like just doing anything that they want, you're simping over them.
Oh, so you
All
can use
right.
it as a verb.
You're like obsessing a little bit. You're
so
like
it's
going,
not
okay.
really a good thing necessarily. It's
Simp.
You're obsessed.
All right.
Okay. All right, I have a couple more. This one, my brother says this one all the time, and he's a millennial, so it's just, I would never, look at him and be like, you're cooler than me, but now it's on the airwaves, so now he knows. Slaps.
Yeah, that's cool. Like that
Yeah.
slaps.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
I have to slap it, of course.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
kicks. That
Yep.
rocks. That
That
slaps.
rocks.
Absolutely.
Okay, that slaps.
My sweet husband was trying to use this word after my brother did. And he was eating a piece of cake, and he's like, that slaps. And he looked at my brother and was like, it sounds better when you do it. And I was like, well,
Stick with all that in a bag of chips, and you're
at least we know my sweet husband. All right, this one.
because there's slang that goes both ways. That I guarantee
Ooh, yeah.
millennials are like, "What the heck
Yeah.
did you just
What
say?"
are you saying? You are 99 years old.
I'm like, I said
It's
what
the
I said.
bee's knees.
Totally. Absolutely. I feel like I used that yesterday. Thank you.
I feel like I was born with an old soul and say things like, I'll be there in a shakes of a lamb's tail, or I'll be there with bells on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that comes from my mother who grew up with my grandpa, and they're kind of British sayings. So I really sound like I'm born in like the 1920s. Gee whiz.
Gee whiz.
All right, this next word is cap.
Yeah.
Okay, I've heard it. Hold
Yeah,
on.
yep.
Can you use it in a sentence, ma'am?
If someone, I can't. I'll just have to explain it to you. If someone says no
It's
cap,
kind of. It means like I'm not lying. I'm not
Yeah.
even joking.
yeah,
Okay.
it
Right?
means,
Is that right?
Yeah. So cap is a word that means lie. So if Kari was like, "Hey, Elora, I got 5 lipsticks for $1," I'd be like, "No cap."
Okay. Like no joke?
j-
Wow.
No
Okay.
way.
Like
All right.
I'm being totally
I
honest.
ain't kidding.
All right, and the final one I have is W or L. This is shorthand for win, as in a good thing, or loss, as in a bad thing.
Just the letter W.
Yeah. So that was a W.
Oh, okay.
Oh, what a major L.
That was a win. Oh, that was a lose.
And
you
you
just
know-
use a letter.
Isn't that usually the L on the forehead? You're a
That's exactly what
loser?
it is.
Oh.
You put the L up to your forehead. That's
These
right.
these Gen Xers.
That's not used anymore.
High five. You
I
know
thought
what?
this
We're
stood
cool.
for Luigi.
David and I are cool, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I guarantee those that are listening out there, they appreciate us too, Kari.
They do. And we also did a high five that shows our age.
I know. Seriously.
I witnessed
We're old
all
school. We
of
don't
this.
fist bump.
No.
Gotta give a 5.
No. High five. Okay, so that was fun. Thank you, Laura. I'm feeling very old now.
I
Okay,
mean, same.
moving on. Okay, so we like to do a little segment called What Have We Been Watching? And I'm really excited
how does
about
that go,
this.
Kari?
What have we been watching?
This is very
That was like the
exciting.
same. She stole that from Everything is Awesome.
You're welcome.
What have you been watching?
You're welcome.
Copyright infringement.
Yeah, exactly. Laura, let's start. What have you been watching?
So I have been watching, I usually watch the same thing every night, but, other than the reruns I watch, I have started watching this show called Unstable. and it's on Netflix. It has Rob Lowe in it, and actually his son plays his son.
Oh, interesting.
And so the premise is Rob Lowe plays this guy who is a genius. He owns a biotech company. He's super, super smart, but his wife has passed away. And his grief has kind of made him like a little quirky. And they bring in his son to kind of help him out. And it's kind of got this like this father and son situation. The characters in the show are just so funny. It's like, it kind of has, a heavy topic, but it's very sweet. It made me giggle a lot. Like, I was roaring. I don't know why I thought it was as funny as I did. Probably because it is funny. And it's just, his son is kind of like going against the grain. Like, his dad wants him to take after his footsteps, but he wants to be a flautist. David's looking at me like, what are you saying?
Sounds thrilling.
It really is so sweet. Just the dynamic of father and son trying to find their way, like, without their mom, and leaning on each other and kind of like accepting each other for who they are, and really, enjoying life with how it is now, even though it's different. And all the supporting characters are fabulous. It's just really good. And I just find Rob Lowe so funny.
He's so great. He's a huge star. I mean, he's a huge star. It's cool to see his son kind of like, following those footsteps. I saw him on a morning show the other day, and they were talking about this show. I haven't seen the show, but he said, a lot of people are saying, well, of course, he's your son. And he's like, yes, I'm not going to lie. I got him in the door, but now he's got to walk through that door, and he's got to keep going.
Sometimes it can be a foot in the door, and it can also be a kick in the teeth. Because now you have this expectation of, you only have this because of this opportunity. Right. You have to really deliver.
I mean, this is not even close to the level that we're talking about, but I remember my dad is a lawyer, and I worked as a runner at his law firm. And I remember, because essentially my dad got me the interview, but I had to go into the interview, and I worked my tail off that summer to prove that I could have that job. And I can imagine it's like that. I mean, obviously it's not the same as, me in Hollywood or anything, but it meant a lot that my dad did that for me. And then to show my dad my gratitude,
you got to step up.
You worked really hard.
Yeah,
a lot of pressure.
It was interesting. I was just talking to my daughter last night. She's doing a research paper on a relative of past, a few generations ago. And so she chose my grandma. And her dad was the principal of her school. And when she grew up, she was the valedictorian. But her dad did not give her the award in fear that it would show nepotism, that it would show favoritism.
Okay.
Even though she had earned it, all the grades were there. But just for that fact alone, he did not want anybody else to kind of see it as any kind of an inside scoop.
Well, Rob Lowe's son does an excellent job in this show.
Cool.
Well-deserved.
Where can you see it?
Netflix.
Netflix. Okay.
Cool. Nice.
Very cool. Okay, David, what have you been watching?
Well, I'm kind of late to the game. I don't watch, I'll be frank, not a ton of television or time in front of the TV. When I do, usually I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I listen to TEDx show, like quick 15, 12 minutes. But I did recently finally catch up to Civilization and caught up on Ted Lasso, believe it or not.
One of the greatest
years
shows.
Later. And Jason Sudeikis, I feel like I self-identify as Jason Sudeikis every now and then as Ted Lasso.
Oh, like, is this me?
Just the one-liners, the way it was written, just the fun little quick throwouts. Like it's really well done and tons of fun. So it's been interesting to watch. And then of course they just came out with season 3, so I'm biding my time to dive into that one. But because like I think we were talking about, once you kind of start, it's just like that itch you kind of have to keep going.
I am
right?
waiting.
So
It's
that's
really good.
maybe that's the reason I don't start a lot of things, because I know it's so
You're
consuming.
like, I'm gonna have to binge 9 seasons now.
for
I
real.
Who has time?
But you've obviously seen the series, right?
It's
It sounds
good.
like-
It's really good.
It is truthfully probably in my top 5 favorite TV shows, and I'm just waiting for all of season 3 episodes to come out so I can just, like you said, binge it. Every single one of those characters is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's such a good show.
So good. So good. Yeah, definitely want to listen to and watch. Okay, so I've been watching a show called Sharp Objects. It's on HBO.
Cool.
It was out in 2018 with Amy Adams. This is not for children. Just going to put this out there right now. I love like murder mystery, trying to figure out the whodunit type of show. This is really, really good. It's really dark. So sometimes like Nick and I will watch it, my husband and I, and then we're like, all right, we need a break. But the writing, the
We
acting.
gotta go throw up.
It is
Is it that
so.
bad? Is it really, really dark?
It is pretty dark. So if you're sensitive to these things, don't watch it.
So Elora will not be watching
No,
this show.
you won't be seeing it. But it is like sitting on the edge of your seat. You're trying to figure out. I feel like I'm usually pretty good at guessing, and I cannot figure out what is happening. And there's 10 episodes, and we have the last like 2 coming up. So I keep thinking about it. You know that kind of show you watch and you're like thinking about it all day long, and you can't wait to see it. So Sharp Objects with Amy Adams on HBO. So
there
good.
you go. Well, that's what we're
brand
watching.
new series.
It's from 2018. So it's
Carrie's catching up.
I'm catching up.
Just like you with Ted Lasso.
At a glance, I thought it was that documentary that they follow people that actually forge knives and they cut knives and blades.
Could
and
be.
then they do.
Oh, that's another
so
show.
interesting.
Yes.
This is a totally different side of
Totally
Sharp
different
Objects.
thing. Yes. I like that. I like that. Well, you guys, this has been fun.
I
This is so
love
much
these.
fun.
Such
Yeah.
a blast. Such a blast.
I feel like I know you guys so much better.
I feel like I know Gen Z slightly better.
I'm still not
cap.
great at it. No
you know
cap.
what? Gen Z probably heard me and they were like, you used that wrong. That was used wrong. But you know
No
what?
guarantee.
We love you.
We love you. I
We
feel like
we love the slang. You rock the 90s clothes. Just be you. That's all I got to say.
And I feel like this podcast was a W.
If the 90s are coming back, it was a W. There you go. Nice. Now,
Solid.
When you bring this trend back, does it have to stay within a certain demographic of millennials, Gen Zers, whatever it is? Like, can we still dress 90s? It sounds like we don't want to as a community.
Yeah.
We're gonna hold our own.
We're
Something
gonna
to
see
think
how
about.
that is. Yeah, something
Well,
to think about.
that podcast slapped.
So
On that note.
On that note, yes.
I think we're going downhill, guys.
We're going to end it there. Okay,
Yes.
thank you so much for listening to another episode of Fresh Off the Set. Please rate, review, and subscribe. And we will see you next week. Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.